How's it going, guys? Got a video here by How Money Works. Are you ready to have your job replaced by AI? Let's go over it.
Machines doing all the laborious and mind-numbing tasks that need to get done to keep society functioning has been the dream of humanity since we put a walkie-talkie inside a Tin Man. Since then, automation has clearly come a long way. Machines with some level of logical thinking have become a staple on production lines around the world. But massive recent improvements in artificial intelligence programs, battery technology, and mechanical
Like AI and ChatGPT have just taken everything over. And you've got a lot of people doing anything you really want with AI. Like, say you can't structure a sentence very well by yourself. Well, now you can just plug it in and be like, hey, can you make this better for me? And it'll just do it. And it's like so perfect at this point.
systems means that almost 100 years after that Tin Man took his first step at the World's Fair, we may be on the verge of having machines that can perform any task better than a human can. In that time, though, the idea of robots taking all of our jobs has changed from a utopian dream to something that people around the world are deeply afraid of. ChatGPT.
I think just a lot of people are scared to lose what they've earned and like they've, perceived to have like gone to school for, or, just their jobs are in danger like all of the time now because of all these advancements we've been making. And once that happens, a lot of people's jobs will fall, and very rapidly.
Is barely 2 years old now and is still far from perfect. But since its release, we have already seen big changes in how companies allocate jobs, college students cheat on assignments, and in the way people look for.
Oh yeah, the cheating on the assignments. Oh my God. Like, I was taking a couple classes not too long ago, and like the teachers were just so upfront, like, oh, if you guys cheat, you guys are done, kind of thing, right? And it's like, well, why the fuck are you going to try to cheat on the thing that you're trying to achieve, right? Like, that's just taking everything out of it and just giving it to the computer. You don't want to be doing that.
Work. Now, there is no better way to make yourself look like an idiot than to predict the progress of technology. But there is a lot that businesses, governments, and individuals would need to change right now about the way they work to get the ideal version of automation instead of the alternative.
Here we have 10 times the amount of robotics as compared to any of our other fulfillment centers. We can process your order 25% faster.
Phoenix, about a month ago, Amazon is now using drones to deliver packages around the Phoenix metro.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports at least 42% of U.S. employees' jobs are at high risk of automation.
42%. Oh my God. What the hell? Those like numbers are so insane. Like 42%? Dude, we're about to feel this shit hard.
It's very sad. You watch the equipment trickle out, tear things down, throw things away.
The IT department of every company is going to be the HR department of AI agents in the future.
Okay, so the easiest way to think about what full automation will mean for your own personal financial situation is to realize that we are all born with a portfolio of assets that are actually worth.
You want to know what's going to happen here? You see this image? They're showing like this imperfect kid. Now, what's going to happen later on is there's going to be all sorts of gene splicing and stuff like that. And perfect humans, like we are not perfect. They're going to try to make like more perfect humans through gene splicing, through all this like technology, this advancement to keep up with these AI things. And if not, I mean, you will be a figment of the past, basically.
A lot of money. Now, unfortunately, for all of you would-be Nepo babies, most of those assets come in the form of hours that we have to trade in return for some kind of pay. According to estimates from the OECD and Gettysburg College, most of you watching will effectively sell between 80 and 90,000 hours of your life in exchange for money. Since statistically, most of you watching are men, that number is actually more like 100,000 hours, since men are generally less likely to take significant amounts of time off of work to stay home with a family. Regardless of the specifics, even with a relatively modest salary, those tens of thousands of hours are easily worth more than $1 million. And if you are clever about getting the right skills, making the right career moves, and kissing the right buttocks, it will probably be worth much more. We probably...
See, that's horrible though. Like, a lot of people don't want to be like not having time with their families, right? So, I mean, in reality, having your job taken from you is not a good thing, but if you're able to have a system where you can spend more time with your family and like do the things you need to do in life to be happier, I feel like that's good, but we all fucking know our system is not set up like that. It's just a slave driving system. Go, go, go. And yeah, you'll be working till you die, basically.
I don't like to think about it like this, because frankly, it's a bit depressing. But for the vast majority of you watching, your greatest asset is not your home, your share portfolio, or your PSA 10 Charizard. It's the hours of work you can sell over your lifetime. Anything you can do to improve the value of those hours, be it upskilling, voting for pro-worker policies, or just making sure you're spending your valuable time well, should make you richer in the long term more than almost anything else. Assuming you don't already have a huge portfolio of other assets or take on too much debt in the process. Now logically, this means that anything that
Student loans are so damaging, you guys. Like, they get you to believe that you need this degree, this scholarship, or sorry, not scholarship. They just need you to believe that, you know, school's the answer. But today's age, there's a lot of things you can do that kind of bypasses that. We're living in a new time where you don't need to rack up hundreds of $1,000s worth of debt to get by and get this little degree that goes on your wall. Like behind me, I could have one right now, but I don't, because I don't believe in that shit. It's just a figment of the past. And there's a lot of ways that are just a lot different these days. And it's about embracing these new changes. I think a lot of people get stuck in the past where something worked a long time ago. Well, it might not work anymore. So you have to keep trying to level yourself up in a way that keeps you ahead of the pack, but thinking outside the box, basically.
threatens the value of this asset should be really alarming to you. A machine or program that can do all or even part of your job is such a threat. It's competition in the market for work that makes your own hours less competitive and therefore less valuable. A study by Pew Research found that in total, 90% of American jobs were at the highest risk of automation from artificial intelligence. A similar study conducted by Goldman Sachs found that only around 9% of jobs were at similar immediate risk globally. And that is mainly because America has a higher proportion of service-based jobs. The Pew Research study actually found that people with higher levels of education were more at risk of being replaced, because they were proportionally more likely to be working an office job. It has turned out to be much easier to replace the people inputting stuff into computers than to replace the people that would require real-world outputs from computer-operated machines. Now, 90% of jobs disappearing within a decade would simply be devastating to people who still need to sell their time for money. There hasn't been a sustained drop in jobs that severe since we started collecting economic data. Even if you are one of the lucky ones that can hold on to a job, the market will be flooded with people who have lost theirs, and will be willing to work for anything they can get. If your hours are your greatest asset, then this would be the equivalent of a panic selling event. One other important variable is your age. Of course, if you are younger, you have a larger holding of hours in your life to sell off. As you age, you should statistically build up actual wealth with more typical investments. If you are broadly invested in the markets, some of your capital will go towards companies who themselves will use it to invest into this automation technology. Already, most of the biggest companies in the world are investing hundreds of billions of dollars into AI technology. Again, this will mean that wealthier older people with more real investments will likely benefit from widespread automation, while younger people just starting out will be forced to compete with it.
Yeah.
But what else is new? So yeah, if you want to prepare for this, learn to work.
I feel like trades are like one of those things that will just always be there. And because you need humans with intelligence to perform the tasks at hand. Obviously, I used to be a welder, right? Like probably none of you know this because I've never said this, but I used to be a welder. I didn't really like it too much because like the health influence, like you could breathe in the smoke and stuff like that. I used to just get really bad acne and stuff like that on the back. But you could teach robots, and they did have these robots that you could go and program on the computer to weld perfectly, right? It's a perfect weld every time, but you needed as a human to program it. And eventually, if they can just do that themselves, humans will be the more of the planners. Like we're going to plan these things out and then get the bots to do it. Get them to do the heavy lifting, the grunt work, stuff like that. But I feel like trades in general will always be a thing, and it will not fully replace humans, ever.
Work with your hands, or, maybe try to be independently wealthy. Now, a more realistic solution might be to build up a system where someone's value isn't entirely tied up in how many hours of work they have to sell. Now, that would require long-term planning from both governments and businesses. But assuming we could get everybody on board, it's time to learn how many works to find out if it's even viable. This week's video is sponsored by 8 Sleep. As someone who writes, edits, and basically lives in front of a screen, I've learned that productivity doesn't start with your to-do list. It starts with your sleep. That's why I've been using the new Pod 4 from 8 Sleep. 8 Sleep is leading the charge in smart sleep tech.
It's kind of funny that he says this, like this plug he's got here, right? Like obviously this is his advertisement, but sleep is so important, and so many people, they don't get enough sleep every night because they're just on their phones like all the time. Like you are literally hurting yourself by being on your phone an hour before bed because you just cannot get the rest you're going to need, right? Something that I started doing is just getting a book, like just any book. I read this horror book. It's called Pay the Piper. I just bring it out, I read it, and you get so tired so fast looking at these letters that are not a screen lit up, right? You fall asleep naturally. And then I get 8-hour, 9-hour sleeps. Dude, I am on top of the world.
And the Pod 4 is their most advanced system yet. It regulates temperatures on both sides of the bed, tracks your sleep and health metrics without any wearables, and even adjusts in real time to keep you in deeper sleep longer. Since I started using the Pod 4, my sleep has become more consistent, and my mornings, totally different. I'm up earlier, more focused, and actually excited to start writing. No more staring at a blinking cursor for half an hour. Plus, I love that the Pod takes care of everything automatically. I don't have to think about it. It just works in the background so I can focus on scripts, edits, and keeping creative burnout at bay, than stellar sales and profit numbers. The company is valued like a high-growth company, but its financials are now starting to look more like a post-growth car company. Now, the news that got the most attention is that Elon Musk will be returning to the helm as the full-time CEO again. But the other 99% of the call was dedicated to convincing shareholders that current car sales were irrelevant because the future of the company was in replacing jobs with technologies like full self-driving taxis and their Optimus humanoid robot.
Optimus ultimately will be worth more than the car business, worth more than FSD. That's my firm belief.
I think this is kind of badass though. Like if you ask me, it's kind of looking like that one movie, I, Robot. These things look amazing, you guys. Just imagine if you could like program it to like clean your house for you or cook for you. Like you get home, it's like, sir, your meal is ready. And it like walks to the other room because it just doesn't want to disturb you. And you're like, fuck yeah, bro. I'm just going to eat my meal now, right? That's so awesome.
Making a robot like this that takes the form of an adult human is extremely challenging to build. But if they or some other company can pull it off, it does have two huge advantages over typical commercial robot arms. The biggest benefit is that the world is tooled for adult humans. Everything from screwdrivers to reception kiosks are designed with human operators in mind. A humanoid robot could in theory use generic tools designed for humans instead of expensive custom parts that only work with a specific machine. Even something extremely simple like your robot vacuum cleaner has this problem. If its mop head breaks, you need to go and buy a specialized replacement part from that specific supplier. If a humanoid robot breaks its mop, it could just go out and get a new one from Home Depot. This means that companies wouldn't...
Oh my god, imagine sending your robot to go shopping. How fucking funny would that be? Like you're just like, yeah, I got a list here, just please go buy this stuff. Aye, Captain, I will go do that. And then it just goes out and like buys your stuff and like just cleans your house for you. Like, what? Dude, that sounds insane.
Need to design processes from the ground up with automation in mind. They could just replace humans with human-like machines. Finally, and perhaps most importantly for the people who will actually be buying things, they will be cheap. A standard 6-axis industrial robot arm, the kind you see in videos of car assembly lines, costs tens of thousands of dollars each.
Oh
and
my
that's assuming
god.
you are brave enough to order your advanced industrial equipment off Alibaba. Realistically, if you are a manufacturing executive setting up an automated production line, you are probably going to source your machines from a more established company. And once you have purchased the individual arms, plus the control system, plus installation, you are looking at a multi-million-dollar investment at minimum. Humanoid robots would not need to be customized to each use case, so they could be generically mass-produced in large volumes, and since they don't use a huge amount of materials, there is theoretically no reason why they couldn't be the same price as an entry-level car. According to Elon Musk, during Tesla's presentation, the company's...
Honestly, will wars even be the same? Like, humans fight wars, right? Obviously, always humans will be there, but I feel like if we go into like this thing where like robots are like doing your shopping, they're cooking and cleaning for you, obviously you can train them to like shoot guns and like do some crazy shit, right? So I'm just thinking, like, say you have a generation of robots that are they're not as good as the new ones. What if they just like send it into like this tournament style thing and like just get them to all blow each other up, and it's just like a fun thing, right? I don't know, just like a holiday festival thing, like fireworks, for instance. Like, it's just something to look forward to.
Humanoid Optimus robots will sell between $20,000 and $30,000 once they go into production. Now, these predictions are always rock solid, and historically there hasn't been any reason to doubt Tesla's timeframes or numbers. But even at $100,000 per unit, these machines would present a compelling investment opportunity. If they just replaced someone making the national average, they would pay themselves off in 2 years. For Tesla in particular, this is a great opportunity because its brand reputation matters far less for these kinds of business-to-business strategic acquisitions. Regardless of your own personal opinions of Elon Musk, he has turned away a lot of potential EV customers. But other companies simply don't care. They would buy tools from Satan himself if it improved their bottom line. That is, assuming it actually works. There are plenty of vocal critics who have argued that humanoid robots may sound great in theory, but for most applications, specialized machines will always be more cost-effective in the long run. Now, even if it's just an investment bubble, there will be a lot of money for any company that can bring a broadly capable humanoid robot to market. But this presents an even bigger problem for every other company in the world. If automation makes everybody redundant, who is going to be left to sell to? I actually made a big mistake when I covered that exact question in a video I made last year. I said that eventually, businesses should shift their production offerings to cater exclusively to other businesses or wealthy asset owners who make their income from investment returns rather than exchanging their hours for dollars. My mistake was that this is literally already happening. About a week after that video went out, a report by Moody's Analytics found that the top 10% of households by income are now responsible for more than half of consumer spending in the economy. And that trend is only increasing. In the past, mechanization has made people more productive. Most of the world's population is richer today than it has been at any point in history. That's not because businesses have become more compassionate towards their workers. It's because machines have made man-hours more productive and therefore more valuable. But now, technology is not making them more productive, it's making them redundant. So businesses can prepare by either going...
Like, basically making people useless. Is what it's what he's trying to say here. Like, it's making people useless. And then it's going to just replace, like, every person, like, with a robot. But I feel like society, the way it's like set up right now, if you do make people useless, it's just going to drive them to like homelessness, and like it's not actually solving anything. It's just making these big tech companies even more rich at the expense of like actual human life.
Going up market with their products to appeal to asset owners, or by going down market to get what they can still get out of people with no other options. Now, businesses are going to do whatever they can to maximize profit for their shareholders. This is what they are made to do, by design. It's easy to anthropomorphize greedy companies and blame them for everything. But blaming a company for maximizing profit is like being angry at a deli slicer for not showing restraint on a haircut. It's not really what they do. That responsibility should fall on governments who, theoretically, represent the people who will be made redundant. My old colleague who now runs the channel Micro made a great video about how mindlessly creating jobs for the sake of creating jobs might be popular politically, but it has made us ill-equipped to deal with changes like this when they present themselves. As always, I will leave a link to that below. The most direct solution would be to ban the use of technology that could replace taxpayer jobs, but that would be extremely short-sighted. We have already seen the beginnings of this with the dock worker strikes that happened late last year. The strikes came to a close with a tentative agreement that the ports would not introduce any automated machines that had the potential to take dock worker jobs. This was a union fighting for the best interests of their workers, which is exactly what they should do.
I mean, these people can fight all they want, but eventually things do change. Like, it's always been changing in life. Like, there's been times where people's jobs, they thought they would never get taken, but they end up getting taken anyway. No matter how hard you fought against, like, the incoming flow of whatever it was. Yeah, like, you can fight your heart out, but sometimes it's inevitable. Like, sometimes just things are inevitable.
But long term, it's been hard for any group to fight the march of progress. You can't ban the internet, the car, or the light bulb just to keep librarians, the horses, and the lamplighters in business. If we don't use advanced automation, other countries will, and international companies will just move their operations there instead. A better solution would be to encourage this technology, but make sure that the people stand to benefit from it. Unfortunately, this technological shakeup is happening at a time when we can least fiscally afford it. Optimistic ideas about universal basic incomes or capital reallocation might work, but they will cost a lot of money. A lot of money that will be hard to get without significant new taxes. Unfortunately, the same people that stand to benefit the most from a fully automated future would also be the biggest targets for those taxes. Major technological changes have always had a destabilizing impact on societies, from the steam engine to the internet. But combining that with an already unstable economy is very bad, to put it bluntly. This technology could give us a Jetsons future, but only if we are valued at more than the hours in our day, which we will need because not only is AI getting smarter every day, it might also be making us dumber. Go and watch this next video to find out if we have already...
Is AI making us dumber? Maybe. It's because people are using ChatGPT for the wrong reasons. Like, instead of asking big questions that are on top of a question you already had, they're just asking for the answer straight out. And sometimes that is just not good because you're not learning anything. You're not using your imagination, your mind. Let's process and research a way to solve a problem instead of just having the machine just give it to you. Well, you're not actually getting a good response here. You're just getting something it's throwing it at you. Are you happy now kind of thing? Well, maybe a lot of people are with that kind of thing. Me personally, I like to ask the machine a lot of questions and try to break down things in a way where it's just more advanced because I'm getting deeper and deeper into a topic that I probably couldn't have perceived myself through the words of my own. Like, I couldn't do it myself, basically. So what this is, it's AI is almost like a, what is that word called? Symbiotic relationship with humans at this point. And anything that humans have made is basically like a symbiotic thing. We wouldn't have made it otherwise. So I think this video is really cool. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next one.